Greetings and welcome to the Astronomy Picture of the Day podcast. Today's picture for October 4th of 2025 is titled The Rotating Moon. So what do we see here? Well, here we see a video clip that we will run and watch the moon as it rotates. Now we can take a look at this and let it rotate, and what do we see? Well, we see first the near side of the moon, which is always kept facing Earth. And as that begins to turn off the edge, we start to see the far side, which looks completely different, as we can see, and is different structured than the near side. Now, we did not know what the far side looked like until the late 1950s when the Lunar spacecraft flew around the moon and was able to get images and send those back to Earth. Now, the far side we see has far less of the darker areas, which we know as maria. The maria are sometimes called seas, even though they are just old dried lava flows, but they are large impact basins that were flooded many billions of years ago by lava from the lunar interior. And since then, over the last 3 billion years, not much has happened to them. And in fact, not much has happened on the moon at all in 3 billion years. And it looks pretty much like it did then. Now, the side we see is the side we always see from Earth because the moon is tidally locked to Earth. It always keeps one side facing Earth. It rotates on its axis at exactly the same speed that it revolves around Earth, and that means it will always keep one side pointing toward Earth. And in fact, most of the large moons and even smaller moons in the solar system do this exact same thing. They keep one side facing their planet, and they are tidally locked together. Now, since we can't watch the moon rotate from Earth, how do we get an image like this? Well, this is actually put together by multiple images and recordings from the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, which is an orbit around the moon and therefore can photograph the entire moon and give images that can then be put together in a video to allow us to see what we would be able to see if we could actually watch the moon rotate. Now we can look at a lot of the features there as it turns around here. Again, we see the darker areas of the maria. We see the lighter areas of the highlands. So those are the older areas dating back to the very origin of the moon about 4.5 billion years ago. There are some newer craters, and those are distinguished by the ray systems streaking out from them from the impact. And that occurs when the object strikes it and throws material off across the lunar surface. Those rays will wear down relatively quickly, at least astronomically speaking, over millions of years. And that shows us the relatively new craters on the moon relative to ones that have been there for a much longer period of time. Now, the number of craters that we see on any given area on the moon helps tell us how long it's been since that surface has been reworked. So areas like the highlands, which are loaded with craters, are very old. Areas like the maria, which have much fewer craters, are actually relatively young. Now, that's relatively young compared to comparison on the moon, meaning that one is about 4.5 billion years old and the other is 3 to 3.5 billion years old. So they are still all much older than most objects that we find on Earth. So that was our picture of the day for October 4th of 2025. It was titled The Rotating Moon. We'll be back again tomorrow for the next picture, previewed to be Long Storm on Saturn. So we'll see what that is about tomorrow. And until then, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you in class.